Hi, hello, welcome back to another Onkruid video. Welcome to a video where I could be walking, but do mental health symptoms always have to be cured? That's the question that popped into my head when I was reading a little bit in The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Shouldn't be covering the title with my sausage fingers. A neurologist and a doctor in neurology in America. A book written a while ago already, but it still holds up as a very interesting piece of literature. There were two stories in a row that I read yesterday where they were about a patient suffering from a neurological condition, but they actually didn't want to be completely symptom-free. The first case was a person suffering from Tourette's syndrome. Involuntary tics in the form of verbal exclamations or physical spasms are very common in this disorder, this condition, but it's also characterized by high levels of activity, of impulsivity, of energy, of vitality and creativity in some people. Here, the case described was actually a jazz musician that used his outbursts of otherworldly energy to fire up some nasty drum solos, impressing crowds because of the vibrancy and creativity of his drum-smacking endeavors. The neurologist prescribed haloperidol or Haldol, an antipsychotic drug used to manage so-called positive symptoms. They are symptoms that generate an excess, like hallucinations, for example. You see more than there actually is. That's why it's called positive. There's something added. Negative symptoms are all about, like, for example, taking away your good mood, taking away your energy. The person was quite satisfied with the treatment because he had less tics and he could live a so-called normal life. But after a while, he started to realize, this is not me. Not only did my tics go away, I am my tics. My personality, my individuality, what made me myself is kind of gone, you know? It's kind of gone with the wind because of this medication. Of course, the medication reduced the positive symptoms, that's exactly what it's supposed to do, but in reducing something that he added to the world, he felt like he kind of completely erased his own impact on the world. He was no longer really there because his tics were gone. In the end, they settled on a regime where he only took the medication during the week, during the work week, while he was at work. But in the weekends, he could remain his exuberant self, a jazz drummer with great capacities and nice skills that could play some amazing energetic solos and wasn't kind of diminished or dimmed down because of the antipsychotic medication. He didn't want to get rid of all his symptoms. He didn't want them to be cured because it made him who he was, and it was also the kind of life he expected to live because he was used to living life that way. Another story was about the disease of Cupid's disease. It was about a woman 86 years old with brain syphilis. Her symptoms were mainly focused on her libido, her sex drive. All of a sudden, it just skyrocketed. From kind of a disinterest in sexual intercourse, all of a sudden, bam, flirting, trying to win over partners, looking at younger males and trying to get them into bed, and other hot, steamy goodness. They were just part of her daily routine. She enjoyed this very much, but she also realized, like, this is a bit too good to be true. It's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much of the goodness. So there has to probably be something wrong. I'm gonna look for a neurologist. And again, interestingly, she didn't want to get rid of her symptoms. She wanted to get rid of the syphilis infection, or whatever the correct term is, just to make sure that her brain didn't get destroyed, that she was safe and healthy. But she did not want to get rid of that newfound sex drive. She wanted to keep on fucking, just to put it in very blunt words. And that's beautiful. She wanted to use the symptoms to live her last years in her life to be, again, very brutal to the fullest. And I think that's simply amazing. That's such an inspiring story. And they were actually able to achieve this feat. They killed the syphilis infection, they removed it, but the woman was still happily looking for some penis. I found these two stories to be beautiful illustrations of how important it is to focus your treatment on the exact right domains, and do this while talking to your clients, while being in a dialogue, while asking them what they need and want. Maybe your patient doesn't want to be completely symptom-free. An example, I am a clinical psychologist, that came to mind from my own practice is, for example, an overworked female scientist. Really, her work and her life are a symbiotic concept. It's the same thing. She lives for her work and she works for her life. It's just hand in hand. She can't think of anything else than work most of the time. Always working way too many hours, disregarding other domains in her life, not being able to start a family, even start relationships, even keep in touch with friends because she is so focused on her career and progress there. Bam. Burnout, depression hits. kind of a bit of a hammer in the face, knocked out, in bed for entire days, not enjoying things anymore, sleepiness, not eating anymore, no sex drive, no energy to go to work. And when that person then knocks on my door, I want to know, right? I want to know, is this something we need to completely get rid of? Do we need to completely cure these symptoms of depression? Of course, we're going to look for a little bit of a cure. We're going to make sure that she has some energy again, that she enjoys things again, that she can sleep again. But the kind of slowing down of life, kind of taking a stop and a breather and not forcing yourself to go over your own boundaries every day, is that really something we need to take away? Is that something we need to fix? I'm not sure. I don't think so. And that's why it's more of an exploration of how to maybe introduce some aspects of these symptoms into her daily life instead of completely getting rid of them. Sure, I would love for her to go back to work, but maybe take a bit more of a day off. Maybe try to stay a bit less late at work so that you can still meet up with friends, you know? And if the depression can be a valiant signal to do that, beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Thank you, depression. It doesn't always have to be something completely negative. Maybe it is a kind of signal for you to turn your life around in a sense. If you are only just focused on completely getting the patient symptom-free, you will miss out on these opportunities. Opportunities to transfer the symptoms, to kind of flexibly deal with them to make the person's life better. Just something that made me think. Something that made me think and that I would love to have a discussion about. Feel free to leave a comment about personal experiences with this. If you're a healthcare professional, do you agree with me or do you have other arguments that make it so that you think, no, all symptoms should be cured, otherwise we are not doing our job? Whatever comes to mind, please let me know. I would love to go into a friendly dialogue about this. To finish off, I'm going to show a part of the Quantum Boy video that came out yesterday. Amazing YouTube channel, truly inspiring. So simple, yet the cinematography is so clean and his voice is awesome. And he talks exactly about this. He talks about being mentally exhausted because of his work ethic, only sleeping 5 hours at night, throwing up in the morning, feeling a bit nauseous, going to the hospital for it, trying to get symptom-free, sleep more, be less nauseous. Okay, that worked out, but he lost himself along the way. He lost his work ethic. He lost how he used to deal with the world. And he was like, maybe I want to revert back to my old self. But now at least I'm conscious of what I'm doing and I know that it is valuable to me, even though people will probably frown and be like, you're throwing up in the morning because you're so exhausted. Get some rest, man. But this guy was like, no, this is the life I want to live. It kept him going. Solving his lack of sleep made his life actually worse. Being completely symptom-free, not for him. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy this beautiful little segment of a person who is clearly way better at making videos than me. And then I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.
But as much as puking scared me, I almost preferred it over the comfort I felt. Because at least it meant I was trying. So I started looking for discomfort. I started running in the cold. And taking cold showers. I was reading on the train again. And I slept a little less. Like the old days. I'd wake up before sunrise, just to prove that I could. And on those mornings, I'd think back to that day in the hospital. And I just remember the good. Just laughing with the nurse. Maybe she was right. Maybe I just love the exhaustion, in spite of everything it comes with. So I spend my mornings a little tired and a little nauseous, just trying to make myself into something I'm proud of. And I'm happy with that.